Looking for a way to branch out? We're taking you on some of North Alabama's best outdoor nature trails. Hey there, I am Kayla and I'm going to be your guide today, showing you around some of the top hiking trails you can find in the Huntsville and Madison County area. Now, all of the trails I'm about to show you fall under the Land Trust of North Alabama umbrella, which means there's not going to be a physical prize if you complete them all at the end, kind of like what we've done on our other trails. However, the prize here really is the feeling and the views you're going to get along the way. The Land Trust of North Alabama is a local organization that preserves more than 10,000 acres of Alabama's natural beauty and resources. Now they oversee 10 nature preserves that connect over 80 miles worth of trails, and today we're going to feature 5 of those trails, each of which will offer something a little different. Now, if you are new to the area, because we oftentimes get transplants from maybe out west, out east, more mountainous areas, we like to give this disclaimer. Now, the mountains we have here in North Alabama are not going to be as big as you might see, say, in Colorado or Washington, but that's not to say they aren't still immensely fun. I would say the hiking trails we offer here in North Alabama are very family-friendly and realistic to the average outdoor person. So if you're looking to get in touch with nature just a little bit, maybe you're not used to doing it, our trails are definitely a good starter and transitional place for you to try them out. All right, to start this video off, we're going to show you one of the easier trails you can find in our area. So we're heading north to Harvest Square Nature Preserve in Madison County. This trail is a family-friendly option for those with little ones. There's over 2 miles worth of trails here, with one even including accessible crushed gravel to use for strollers or wagons or even wheelchairs. So when we say over 2 miles worth of trails, what that means is there are trails within trails. So for example, this particular location actually has 6 different routes you can take. They all range less than 1/10 of a mile to just shy of 1 full mile, which is why this is considered one of the easier trails. This isn't a true hiking trail per se, but rather a nice outdoor trail that gives you and your friends or family a reason to get out and enjoy the nature. Now, this trail also has 2 naturally stocked ponds, which are great for fishing, with an Alabama fishing license, of course. Supposedly, there's been long-ear sunfish, bluegill, pumpkin seed, and smallmouth bass found in these ponds. So if you're looking to fish, maybe add this to your list of places to try. There's also the Dale W. Strong Educational Pavilion, which is a great place to stop and have a picnic in the shade, which will be useful in those Alabama summers. You can also use it for a small private gathering, which is really cool. Birthday parties, reunions, you name it. Something I will say about this trail is there's lots of good shade around here. You are covered up by lots of trees, which right now aren't in full bloom just yet, but they're starting to. And so I imagine once they are in full bloom, you get even more shade. So that is a positive to this trail. I also love that they have these beautifully built bridges that you don't find on every trail. Now, technically, I think I should be going that way, but I'm intrigued by this. Oh, there's a frog. Ooh, see? One with nature, y'all. One with nature. Now, another trail that I was suggested, but we will not be taking in this video, is the Wildflower Trail at Montesano. I was told that the Wildflower Trail is the trail to do. It's the most beautiful. It has creeks and water, and it's great for families and kids and pets. So I wanted to plug that just because we won't be covering it in this video, but apparently it is one you don't want to miss. Some fun facts about this preserve is when you step foot here, you're surrounded by over 69 acres of land. About half of it is used for farming. The other half is used to home deer, turkey, raccoons, foxes, beavers, and a variety of amphibians and reptiles. The Land Trust is definitely an educational servant, and there's lots and lots of resources you can find on their website or just by taking their trails. This is a very quick and easy route. If you're looking for a lunch break, you live on this side of town, this is out near Harvest. What a great lunchtime loop this could be. We're gonna feature another lunchtime loop in a little bit, but I would argue this is also a good one. So keep that in mind when you're looking for short, easy outdoor walks to take in the area. Near the trail entrance, just behind the information kiosk, you'll actually find a native plant pollinator garden designed to provide food and habitat for critical pollinators and help educate the community about the importance of implementing native gardening practices in your own yard. This next trail can be found at Green Mountain South in Huntsville and is a 2.2-mile out and back trail that is generally considered to be a more challenging route. We're taking the Alum Hollow Trail to the Ranger Trail, which according to online will take an average of about an hour and 5 minutes to complete. I have a feeling it's going to take me a little bit longer than that, so I'm going to record it and hopefully by the end of this I can tell you how long it takes me. So let's get started. Now, when I was researching this trail online, I read a lot about how this is a great trail for birding, hiking, and even running. You also probably won't run into too many people when you take this trail, which for me is a plus. I don't want to be struggling in front of other people. I also want to note that these trails are open year-round and hours are typically from dawn to dusk. Dogs are also allowed on most trails, but please just make sure they are leashed. We don't want the dogs getting lost or falling off the edge of a cliff. Something I like about this trail is that it features streams and waterfalls that flow most of the year, and it makes for some really beautiful pictures. Alum Hollow Trailhead also holds a prehistoric Native American camp, as well as Alum Cave, which is a rock shelter that was used during the Middle Woodland period. About a mile in, you'll find our connecting trail. This is your warning that Ranger Trail is the slightly longer and more difficult portion of this route. It is rated difficult due to its rocky terrain and incline, so only take this if you are up for the challenge. Now is also a good time to mention that if you are interested in taking this route or a different one, you can find self-guided instructions on the Land Trust of North Alabama website. These packets are a great way to efficiently stay on the trail that you're taking, and they also give some ideas of things to look out for. Also, reminder, trails are easily marked. Smells good. You can smell the pine. So you have this, which, as you can imagine, gets slick if the water gets up too high. But there's also a bridge over there that you can take, which is much safer. Something else about this trail that we noticed, there are a lot of drop-offs, but there's a cool creek down there. So if you do come, make sure it's pretty dry out. You don't want to slip and fall, especially not down that. That would be bad. And there's lots of rocks to climb. I say climb, I just mean to step over, but it makes for a little bit more of a challenging path. So just be aware of that. Something I saw when I was looking online is that these trails aren't necessarily marked as well as some of the others you might find. This is kind of a prime example of it. This arrow, we've got a fork in the road. It means go this way. Don't go that way like I just did. We're gonna go this way. But just kind of, I think you have to be a little bit more aware because you'll notice there are signs on the trees for the trail that you are on. So just be very cognizant of that when you're taking trails. It can be easy to get lost. And trust me, you don't want to get lost on a nature trail. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the cave we spoke of earlier. And if it's not, it is a really cool little trench. And especially on a hot summer day, this would be a great place to find shade. You do need to be careful if you have kids with you. Drop-offs left and right. But look how long this extends. All right, we have made it to the Ranger Trail, which is this steep little staircase going down. Yeah, so if you're taking the Ranger Trail, it's definitely not gonna be marked as obvious as the other trails. Partially because it's like mostly rocks, but there are still signs that you are on the right trail. So just try to keep an eye out for them when you can. Now, once you climb down all of those rocks, you kind of can make out a trail here, but I will warn you, it is not marked. I stand corrected. It is in fact marked. Man, you gotta keep a good eye out for those. but you kind of know what a trail is supposed to look like, so I would just recommend going with your gut. If you're gonna take this trail, be careful, and you probably should be an avid hiker if you're doing this. This is not for a newbie, for sure. Okay, I had to put the big camera away because that is way too steep to be carrying a large camera, so it is in the backpack with my hiking buddy, because you should also have a hiking buddy if you take this trail. It is a difficult one, very rocky, very steep, and it's definitely gonna make you feel the burn tomorrow. But I'm still enjoying it, actually. So if you're a hiker, I would recommend this trail. And if you're not, I definitely would not. Stick to the Alum Hollow Trail and then turn around or take a different branch off of that. Ranger Trail is not for the weak, but it is fun. So definitely gonna feel the burn tomorrow though. So I never finished Ranger Trail. I thought maybe I had, because we kind of hit like a plateau of sorts. But then on our way back, I noticed this. It literally says Ranger Trail this way, and this is towards the beginning of Alum Hollow Trail. So technically speaking, I didn't finish it because it somehow loops right here. And I did tell you I would show you how much time it took. I don't know if you can see that. We are approaching 2 hours. So an hour and 5 minutes if you're doing a speed run maybe, and you're in good shape. I took plenty of breaks, so 2 hours really isn't that bad, all things considered. So if you're looking to take this trail, maybe allot a few hours for yourself so you can stop and enjoy the nature, take pictures, and have plenty of time to spare. So I wanted to film a quick recap because after wrapping up the trail, I went back to the map over here at the start to see where I went wrong on the Ranger Trail, and it turns out I missed quite a bit of it. So this is your disclaimer that I did not show you all of the Ranger Trail, but it was difficult, and if you are looking to do that, it actually does loop with the Alum Hollow Trail. So if you're looking to take on that challenge, you can either start it from the beginning, or you can take Alum Hollow all the way around to the waterfalls and then start Ranger Trail from there, and then end a little bit closer to the beginning of the start right here. So that's my bad. But that's kind of, this is maybe a good learning lesson for you. Check out the trail maps whenever you're doing them. You know, I was kind of just winging it. This is kind of for fun for me. I just want to show off the nature and the trails and what we do have to offer. It doesn't have to specifically be that trail in particular, but if you are trying to take a very particular trail, make sure you download and save those trail maps. You can get them on the website for the Land Trust of North Alabama. You can take a picture of it whenever you begin. Sometimes they have QR codes along the trails as well that you can scan and download that way. But I wouldn't rely on that because sometimes having service out there is a little difficult. So that's your recap. Sorry for the confusion. Let's move on. If you're looking for some beautiful views of Huntsville, then this next trail is for you. Blevins Gap in South Huntsville is home to some of the best views in the city and is a great place to explore, hang out, or even take pictures at. I had my engagement photos taken here a few years back and they were beautiful. Now this is located off of Cecil Ashburn and offers more than 1,000 acres of natural woodlands. One thing that is also great about this spot is that it's minutes away from local commercial and residential hotspots, so it really doesn't take long to find this location, especially if you live on this side of town. Now this trail is divided into two sections, north and south. Today we're going to take the south section, more specifically the Bill and Marion Certain Trail. This trail is just shy of 2 miles long and is one of the most popular hikes in town, mostly because it has the best view at the end, and we're going to show you that in just a little bit. Like with most hikes with a view, you'll have to work for it just a little bit, meaning there is a bit of an incline with this trail. It is also pretty rocky, so you're going to be having to step up and down a lot, have strong ankles, but be prepared. This might be challenging for anyone who might be unable to walk very easily, or maybe they're not used to having moderate incline in their walking regimen. So just be aware of that if you do decide to take this trail. The good news though, you are not on a timer. So if you do want to take this trail, come early. Take your time, enjoy the nature, enjoy the views, take breaks if you have to, but just know the journey will be worth it at the very end. And even better news, the incline is only about a half mile, which will feel really long when you're taking it, but once you get past that point, the rest of it is pretty much flat, which is really nice. So one thing I recommend not doing when taking a trail like this is doing what I'm doing right now. Don't bring a massive camera out with you because I'm not gonna lie, my arm is getting tired. But it's all worth it for the views of beautiful Huntsville, and so I can show you guys at home what you're missing out on in North Alabama. So let's continue on. Now on this trail, like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of rocks and a lot of mud. Don't bring your white walking shoes. And if it has just rained, maybe skip out on this. It's gonna get pretty muddy. I've been here before. And it is not worth messing up your shoes because it is pretty difficult to get past. Now, if you're an avid hiker, by all means go for it. You've done much more challenging things before. But if you're coming out for just a leisurely stroll and maybe to see some cool views of Huntsville, then I wouldn't recommend it necessarily right after a good rain. Now, something else you'll notice, trails are easily marked and visible on different trees, so you know you're on the same trail that you were on before. And also, if you ever feel like you're getting lost, before you start a trail, there are QR codes at the beginning that you can download the app, or it'll send you directly to the North Alabama Land Trust website, which will give you all of the maps to help you find your way back. So make sure your phone is charged and you have plenty of time to find your way back before the sun sets, because that's when the trails close. Now this looks like one of the steeper parts of the incline so far, which, you know, videos don't always do it justice, but this is your warning if you take this trail. This might be the part that you want to start resting for if you're not great at walking or if you're not used to climbing, because it's going to make your legs burn, that's for sure. But it is pretty short in the big picture, so if you're willing to give it a go, I think it's definitely worth it. Remember what I said about taking breaks? It's important, y'all. So right now I'm taking a break. We've got a beautiful stream behind us. Actually don't know if you can see it in here, but you can hear it, that's for sure. Now, I also want to take note, guys. When you're taking these trails, you're likely going to see nature in action. And by that, I do mean creepy, crawly creatures that you might not love. For me personally, that's snakes. Can't do snakes. I see them slither and I run away. Not for me. But I do have to acknowledge this is their home and I'm visiting. So consider this your friendly reminder that unless your life is in serious danger, please do not harm any wildlife or nature that you see. Bugs, snakes, rodents, whatever it might be. All right, because you're in their home and you're kind of invading their space. So you kind of have to take that into account when you take trails like this. Be very careful when you're stepping over or under trees, sticking your hand in any obstructions of rocks and sticks and leaves. Just be very aware and careful. There is actually wildlife out here. So there's a quick tip for you when taking these trails. But I think it's time to move on. Back up the incline we go. Oh man, my legs are burning. But already you can see how high up we are. Onward we go. I also want to note, I severely underestimated the strength it took to not only walk and have the feeling of your legs burning going on a trail like this, but I severely underestimated the burning in my arm from carrying around this camera. I do it for y'all. I just want you to know that. This is for you. And this is what we're talking about. This is all flat, very easy. A little bit of soft ground, so make sure you have the right shoes on. You can already see views of the city right here out over the overlook, but I hear there's a much better view this way. Anybody watch Stranger Things? That's a portal to the upside down. Don't tell anybody. How cool is that? Y'all want to see something that's going to make your knees weak? Imagine going up that tower. Imagine you were paid to climb that tower, which, by the way, is already tall, but is also on top of the mountain. That's a no from me. That is a big, big no from me. But you know what? Kudos for those who do that. I don't know what you get paid, but you don't get paid enough. Holy cow. So once you get to the flat part of this trail, that's when you start seeing the views. There's not one big open area and it's like, hello, this is the end of the trail necessarily. But along the way is when you're gonna see the views. And they're different, I guess, cutouts, if you'll call them that. Some have benches, some do not. Be very careful, of course, because you don't wanna fall. But they're great picture points. And they're just good areas to kind of overlook the city and see areas of the city that, you know, you can't normally see from ground level. So just know when you're taking this trail, once it gets flat, that's when it starts getting good. I have to say, out of all of the overlooks on this route, this one is my favorite. You've got the beautiful trees. You've got a really good view of the mountains just off in the distance over there. You've got some neighborhoods right here. And it's very calm, quiet, serene. You also have a bench up here. It's a nice cozy area to end your trail. Now I also want to note, just across the parking lot, without the hike, you can also get some great views at the pollinator garden, which I'm going to show you in just a second. Personally, some of the best views you can get are right here at the garden. I mean, you don't have to do the hike to get these beautiful views. Great for pictures. You can see Redstone Arsenal off in the distance. You can see the NASA test stands. You can see some commercial spots. You can see old schools, houses, all just when you drive up Cecil Ashburn. Now let's move on to the next one. So this next trail is the newest addition to the Land Trust, and it's known as the Rainbolt Trail at Rainbow Mountain. Now, since this is a brand new trail, I decided I'm gonna hand the mic over to the professionals at the Land Trust to tell us a little bit more about it.
So this is the Rainbolt Trail. This trail was built in partnership with Madison Greenway and Trails and the Land Trust of North Alabama, because Rainbow Mountain is actually owned by the city of Madison, and the Land Trust helps manage and maintain the trails here. And this is the first new trail that the city of Madison has had in several years. And it's just about a half a mile long, but it provides a new trailhead at Rainbow Mountain. So it's a whole different way for people to access Rainbow Mountain Nature Preserve than what they've had in the past. And it was done through the efforts of around 40 volunteers with over 700 work hours on the trail. So that's what goes into just a half a mile of trail. Takes a lot of work because the work was all done by hand. Yeah. Oh, here's another trillium. So this trail does have some challenging elevation change, and we use those switchbacks and steps to make it easier for people to go up and down. But the challenge is really based on your comfort level and abilities. These don't just come. We don't get that lucky. We have to move them in place. So anytime you see steps like this on a trail, usually a lot of hard work went into that portion of the trail. And you'll see a lot of step work on this trail. Typically, when we're deciding if a new trail is needed, we look at how much trail use is the preserve already getting, because we have over 200,000 trail users on our preserves every year. So if we can make ramps in place of stairs, we'll do that, but that's just not always feasible depending on the landscape. If we have a really cool feature that we want people to see, like here on Rainbolt Trail, there is a rock called Alligator Rock. It just looks like a big alligator head. So we like to kind of steer our trails to see unique features like that. They might go to a waterfall or an overlook. And this year is the year of Alabama trails. And it's actually a 2-year thing because the state of Alabama has so many trails, they couldn't fit it all into 1 year. And we're really excited to be a part of that and hope that people enjoy using our trails over the next couple of years and beyond.
You'll have to let us know in the comments if you tried out that new trail. All right, moving on to our final trail of the video, we're taking you to Chapman Mountain to show off a great lunchtime loop on the Driscoll Trail. And this is a 1-mile loop that is pretty easy to take and it's very easy to find. It's located right off of Highway 72. You might have to make a U-turn depending on which direction you're coming from, but there is a sign on the highway that shows you exactly where to turn. Now this trail circles the Chapman Pines Disc Golf Course and it shows off part of the 740 acres found here on Chapman Mountain. Some of the other trails on this preserve are great educational routes, and they showcase the varying trees and birds that you can find in this area. So if you are into bird watching, this might be a good trail for you to take. Here's your reminder that you can download a trail map. They're usually at the beginning of each trail. There's a QR code, and it'll send you to the Land Trust of North Alabama website, and that is where you can find maps. There is a pavilion that way in which you can take a nice little lunch break. And of course, there are benches along the trail in case you need to take a break. Now, some of the trails are easier than others, but they are all mostly unpaved dirt with tree roots and rocks. So when you are taking the trails, make sure you are aware of that. Wear good shoes. Long pants are usually recommended. Bug spray, highly recommended, especially down here in the South. You also want sunscreen. It gets really warm, bring your water bottles because you're going to want to hydrate. Now this trail today is not a difficult one because it is mostly flat. It has a little bit of up and down, but nothing too steep, hence why it's for a lunch break. Now I would be remiss if I didn't mention the different events that you can find at a lot of these nature preserves. Most of them have an event calendar associated with them on the website. But here particularly at Chapman Mountain, they do something that I think is pretty cool. It's called Homeschool Days. And so you can bring those homeschooled kiddos out here and do a guided hike. They have a pavilion for you to learn and use tables. So it's kind of a nice way to get out in nature, get out of the house for a little bit, and educate your kids. Now they do other events as well. But like I said, you can see all of those on the Land Trust of North Alabama's website, which is linked in the description below. Okay, here's something else that is cool about this trail is that you see universities, local universities like Alabama A&M, who actually do federally and state licensed research right here in our area. So you might see signs like this that ask you to not interfere with any research equipment, netting, things like that that you might see. If you have any questions about the research, you can also even reach out to the Land Trust, who might be able to answer some of your questions. So that's really cool. All right, well, that is just some of the trails that you can enjoy when getting out in the great outdoors here in Huntsville and Madison County. Now, if you consider yourself to be more of an outdoorsman or woman, then we have other opportunities in North Alabama. The Land Trust of North Alabama, like we mentioned earlier, has tens of thousands of acres of preserves around the area, and they're all very, very beautiful. Now, with that being said, if you enjoy the outdoors, you want to get involved, this is your opportunity. I've linked in the description below the website to the Land Trust. They have opportunities for volunteers, membership, all sorts of things that you can get involved with. So if you're interested in that, or if you're just looking for maps and how to get outside, you can go there as well to find that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, but this is the end of the series, y'all. we're all done, and I can't believe it. I've had so much fun showing you around Huntsville and Madison County, and I hope you've enjoyed these videos. And if you have, please like them, leave us a comment below, let me know, and subscribe to our channel, because hopefully in the future we can do some more of this stuff and show you even more in the area. So until then, I'm gonna let you guys go, but hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.